Hey, good evening and good weekend, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I did. I had a great weekend. I have to totally admit that one. Let's see. We got a few people in here already. Oni Chan and Oni Chan. Hey, grats, Oni Chan. Mugs up to you. Congratulations. That is amazing to hear. Um, it's great to hear someone picked up on your book idea there. It's awesome. Congrats. Good to see you, Luna A12. Welcome. That's Clan. Welcome. And Birdie Buns. Good to see you as well. Uh, we'll see how many people actually make the stream. With the time change and everything, I'm kind of half expecting it to be a slower stream just because of that. It always messes people up. Well, ever since in my 40 something years on this planet, it's always messed up people's schedules. Myself usually being one of them. Although I was lucky and I was able to catch things up, and I was aware of it. I was on the ball this year, so hey, I got 1 year right? Is that Oliver? Welcome. Let's see. Clan asked us to connect with an entity. Does one just meditate on it and it shows up? No, meditating on an entity is not enough to actually get an entity to show up. Meditating on an entity will connect you with its energy, and you can spend a little time working with that energy and getting to know that energy. Um, and that is the beginnings of connecting with an entity. Um, you can also do something like a simple hailing rite. You can set up an astral sanctum, contact the entity from your sanctum, talk to them there. You also need to work on your astral senses, your arcane hearing specifically, so you can hear the entity. But meditating and talking with the entity, calling on the entity, doing something as simple as a hailing ritual, which we have a video here on this channel, is a great way to connect with the entity, meditate, and listen as you ask questions. It's not really entirely evocation, but it is a way to connect and begin to work with and listen to an entity. There is a bit more to it than just meditation. We do also have a video on connecting with entities on the channel. You could search that up. Hermetic, what is the inverted pentagram and how is it used? The inverted pentagram is a pentagram. It is pretty much the exact same as the pentagram. It is actually just inverted. However, in modern times, people have started to use it as they've given it a slightly different meaning. Originally, a pentagram was a pentagram was a pentagram originally. So there's that. However, there are people who are currently now using an inverted pentagram um, in a symbolic energetic flow. So the standard pentagram, of course, the four sides represent the four elements, with the top of it usually representing source, higher self, spirit. We're moving up from the physical plane, as it were, depending on your tradition and what that top one means. So it brings all those forces into balance and begins to channel it upward, helping you connect with that higher self, that source, that spirit. So a lot of people are now beginning to use the inverted pentagram as a way to balance, unite, and complete those things and to channel it inward, more specifically to the self. So it's a more bringing the energy down into oneself concept. Some people actually use this as a symbol of self divinity. So instead of ascending, it's just a recognizing your own divinity in the here and now. Some people utilize it to, on the perspective of bringing power from the greater multiverse to the physical, to where you want it here in the physical plane to manifest. So, like practically every symbol out there, it depends on the tradition, the viewpoint, and all that, onto how it is actually utilized. As far as the pentagram itself, a pentagram is a pentagram is a pentagram, no matter which way we turn it. It is the symbolism in which we associate to it that actually makes the difference. The symbol itself has no power. I hope that helps you out there, a little hermetic. Is that, let's see if I get this right. Leah, I think that is Leah Francis. Welcome. First, just started following us, and this is your first live. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the follow also. Hope you're enjoying the channel. Oni-chan, why do people see a pentagram and think it has to do with satanic worship? That's because the Church of Satan, which is a very, 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 very modern religion, chose to use the pentagram in their symbolism. And since part of their symbolism is also the goat head, and the fact that an inverted pentagram has a representation thereof, because you got the ears coming off, you got the horns, and you got the long, beard. There is a imagery there, so they chose to use that. But the pentagram actually has magical uses that goes way, 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 way back before any of that. You see it in ceremonial magic throughout the ages. It's associated with a lot of Judeo-Christian stuff. So it's not really one singular system or belief system has ownership of it. And it is kind of sad that somehow, some way, it has gotten this image to it. But much like a rumor or gossip, it's amazing what people will just latch onto and won't let go of. And you can point them to God knows how many facts, but they will seem to drop back into the habitual belief as opposed to what a detail or a fact might be. It's a little interesting, but it is, and let me also clarify that a lot of like Luciferians and stuff like that, and the Church of Satan, if you actually read over their doctrine, there's nothing evil about most of them. Most of them is actually about individuality and personal freedoms and choices and stuff like that. Honestly and truly, most of those systems just got their name and terminology as just they literally came from just wanting to give the finger to the church. In fact, I know a lot of atheists who also are Luciferian or Satanists because they chose that religion just because people wouldn't leave them alone. And since they don't believe in the big guy upstairs, they just, went with the guy downstairs, according to the Christians. So there are some interesting things there. Leah Francis, yes, as above, so below. Great explanation of the pentagram. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Just Allie. Okay, thank you much. I'll try to remember that. I got a lot of people on here, but I will try to remember that, Allie. Birdie Bones, can your mood affect your magic? It seems to be sad. I seem to be sad lately and worry it will affect my spell casting. Birdie, it actually can. You remember how we talk a lot on this channel about self-mastery. Self-mastery and controlling your emotions and putting them to your spell work is actually quite important. And yes, your mood affects your emotions affects the energy you generate. So you have to be able to set your emotions aside or generate and set specific emotional feelings in yourself when doing spell casting to get its maximum benefit. So yes, if you're sad, you're feeling sluggish, and you're trying to do positive magic, it tends to dull that back a little bit. So it really helps to do some meditation, focus on things that really do bring you that joy and that happiness to get yourself in that headspace and that emotional space so that you can push that energy into your spell working. Another thing that a lot of people do is they'll push anger, frustration, and stress into spell working because These are things, energy is energy is energy, okay? There's not like this concept of good energy, bad energy, that energy is energy and energy. So you can actually use anxiety, anger, and frustration for healing or any other thing because generates a massive amount of energy and you can push it. I know a lot of people who actually do enjoy doing spell work when they're frustrated or mad because they can literally harness all this excess energy and pour it into a spell that's going to benefit them and their family or their friends while at the same time ridding themselves of this excess energy that they don't want to spend the rest of the night dwelling on. I mean, we've all been there. We've got mad at something. We spend the whole night just dwelling on it. Well, if you push all that energy into a spell working, it's going to add that extra oomph to getting you that beneficial thing while at the same time therapeutically getting rid of that anger and frustration from you. So it can work both ways, but yeah, how you feel can affect it. And mind you, when I say adjusting your emotions for spell working, there is a drastic difference between using meditation to change how you feel long enough to do a spell working and just saying, get over it. You can't just get over it. That's hogwash. I know a lot of people who say, get over it. There is the ability to set something aside and do what needs to be done, even if it's an 8-hour job or whatever. I mean, I used to do 20-hour work days and I'd have to set things aside until I could get the time, but never just push it to the side. Always try to give yourself the time to deal with it. Now, if it's just anger or frustration or something, those are something you can empty the tank on and be done with pretty easy. But whether it be heartbreak or something like that, those are things that you're going to have to work through. Now, it's true. There are events in my life that every time I think about them, they just anger flares up. I've dealt with them so that they don't just creep up on a personal level here or there. But at the same time, knowing that those things affect me the way they do, it's also a really easy way to, think about that subject, flare up that anger, and push that energy into a spell for my benefit. So understanding oneself in such a way is a great way also to understand your power and where to pull it from. If you remember, we did a video talking about your power and where it comes from. So hope that helps a little bit. We got a bunch of people coming in here. Hey, Peachy, glad you can make it. Oh, before I forget, because somebody get on to me. If you're here and you're watching and you're actually enjoying this, give us a thumbs up. It does help the channel. It lets YouTube know y'all like the work we're doing. That way YouTube shows more people can find the channel. We get more information out to more seekers and more people can find their path, whatever that may be, and hopefully master their life and build the life they want. I don't ask people to agree or disagree with me. My only hope on this channel is I can give you a framework and some information to help you find the path that is correct for you. And as long as you ain't hurting anyone and you're happy, I'm happy for you. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm having trouble reading that name. That's Boogie. We'll go with Boogie. What is the difference between Satan and Lucifer? I felt like Lucifer wouldn't work with me unless I worked with his darker aspect. Actually, here's the thing. Satan is not an entity. Satan is a title. Lucifer is only one of many, 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 many entities that fall under the title. A lot of people do associate Satan with Lucifer, the entity, and because of this, they think they're one and the same. Satan is actually an ideal. It is a title. It is not a specific entity. And when you work with the title of Satan as if it was an entity, because if you look at the laws of magic, there's the law of personification, where you can take anything and essentially personify it into an entity-like state and work with it, much the way shamans do storms and the like. You are actually drawing on a reservoir of energy and ideals and knowledge from any entity that would fall under that umbrella that is associated with this title. Now, a lot of people's like, well, that sounds like a great ideal. I work with this one thing and I get this entire broad spectrum. That's great if you're ready for the unpredictability. When you're drawing on such a large reservoir of differing ideologies and perspectives and knowledges, you don't know which one you're working with when. And that level of unpredictability can get things to go a little wonky. And you may be working with an entity or ideology that you're not prepared to work with. And I'm not saying this is a right or wrong concept. I mean, there's a lot of people who work with Satan as an entity and they do very well, but Satan is not Lucifer. Um, Lucifer is actually an angel. And he is an angel that, in his perspective as Lucifer, he is neither light nor dark. And if you try to view him as one or the other, that's what you're going to work with. But at some point in time, you will have to work with both sides of him. And more often than not, the side you see first is the side that you will best benefit from. So if Lucifer wants you to look at the dark side of him, as you're calling it, and then odds are you have a great deal amount of shadow work, and there's some real wisdoms that are tucked down under there that you're probably going to have to dig up. See, Abba Bound, I'm curious if you have any references for spirit communication. I've seen your vids and wondering if you have any other channels or books you like. For general spirit communication, I don't really have any channels I recommend. Um, and when it comes to spirit communication, my go-to method is evocation. I am not a big fan of medium work or channeling because of all the side effects. And I know there's a lot of mediums out there who will tell you there's no side effects and they do it every day. And it doesn't take long to see how many things are going wrong in their life. I literally know 10 mediums now in Washington State that all got committed to an asylum because of it. They don't take the precautions, the time, the cleansings, and all that. That's not to say it can't be done safely. It can be done with the right precautions and everything. But I find evocation to be the better one, in my personal opinion. Some people do use pendulums, and I don't trust those because of the ideomotor effect. And there's no way to remove the ideomotor effect from the channeling. And I don't use Ouija boards at all because I have pretty much debunked every Ouija board user I've encountered. Because it's pretty easy to debunk them. It really is. Because they will assure you it's a spirit. And if you remove the human element from the board, it ceases to function in all ways. So evocation just tends to be the one I go to. My scientific mind gets in the way of many of the other things and brings too much doubt and questions and things into play with it as to a source on it. At this time, I really don't have a source for just general spirit communication that I can say is my go-to. I can say I have one that I find acceptable, and that is Constantino's Spirit Communication, I think is the name of the book. That is actually probably the one that it's a hard one because it has functional information. It's pretty well done, but there's so many bits and bobbles in it that if I'm working with a student, I would want to sit there and correct the book. But at the same time, for general spirit communication, I think it is the one that I would point someone to the most. And I'm always on the lookout for a good one. So if anyone knows a good one, by all means, message me on Discord or email me at workingdragonmystic.com because I have picked up and read a lot of them. I'm looking for a good, approachable, beginner's general book. That one really kind of is the better one in my mind at this time of the ones I've located. Jupiter, you say you haven't witnessed Harry Potter or magic in real life, but think there's a possibility. Why not ask entities? Well, that's an easy answer for you, Jupiter. I have asked entities. And the ability to make a manifestation like that is possible. However, it is currently outside the reach of humans at this time. We have too many um, things that hold us back, too many flaws in our mental processes, too many doubts, other things like that. Um, so I have actually asked entities like that. And at this time, it's just not something humans are able to actually harness. So, yeah, theoretically, it is possible for us to do it, theoretically. But it's also, by the entity's own testament, it's also an actual impossibility based on the current position and evolution of humanity at this time. And to that, I will also add it depends on exactly which specific manifestations you're talking about. There's a lot of different things throughout Harry Potter. Many of them are probably going to be an impossibility, but many of them are probably a possibility. So it's a larger scale. But I don't tend to focus on theoreticals and try to give people false hope. I try to focus on practical things that can be done. And then once they have those practicalities, that self mastery and that ability to do what they need to build their life up, then if they choose to research and pursue those theoreticals, they are more than welcome to do so. And they actually have the foundation and the tools to do so. Nia, welcome. Well, Allie, you would actually be correct. The title of Satan isn't even an evil entity. It is a title in which was used by the Christian church at one point in order to apply it to their adversarial thing. In fact, the title Satan actually means adversary. It doesn't mean evil. It doesn't mean bad. It doesn't mean anything. If you sit down to play Uno with your family is Satan because they are your adversaries in the Uno game. That is quite literally the definition of the word. Um, so that's all the title is actually used for. And you're right. It due to the church, it does have a meaning, and it has been given the appearance of the one true adversary to the one true God. But the meaning of the word is adversary. But since there's not one true God, there's not one true adversary. So you are correct on that, Allie. But then again, that's one of the reasons I try to avoid religion on this channel is because you can get down into a spiral of he said, she said, we said, who shed seashells by the seashore, pick a peckle, pick a peppers. And no one's going to know what the hell's going on by the end of the day, even though we just had a 4-hour conversation. You know what I mean? Leah, hey Drake, I really liked the speech about energy. It helped me out. Oh, well, I'm glad it did. I know occasionally my southern comes out, and I do occasionally get on my little rants and speeches. I am glad that I'd say 90% of the time those speeches or rants are helpful to you all. So thanks. Appreciate it. I'm glad it did help. There are times I wonder if what I say just makes no sense at all. But I have to say, I think I'm kind of lucky. I got a viewer base who not only do you all understand what I'm trying to do here and focusing on the practical, but you all seem to understand the way I present it, which is nice because that honestly helps me personally. It makes me feel comfortable in being myself and communicating this, which if y'all go back and watch my early videos, I was like, and I'm always an authentic me, but I'm also terrified of cameras, as I've been honest with y'all before. So it is nice to be able to get on here on the live streams with people that I'm comfortable enough to just cut loose and have a good time with. Chicken Noodle, are some demons as terrible as movies make them? No, actually, they're not. Demons and angels are the exact same beings. They're not evil. They're not out to smite us. They're not out to ruin us. In fact, they're out to help us. They would actually like to see humanity ascend and reach its potential. They don't want to see our ruin. The negative entities, if you want to call them that, that exist out there that are a danger to humans are actually human spirits. Um, they're not demons. So most of the entities that get associated with these bad demons are just human spirits that they were assholes in life and they continue to be assholes in death. You know how we say you can't fix stupid? Well, you can't fix a jerk or an asshole either, unfortunately. Um, in fact, generally speaking, I mean, if you think about it, these kind of people get away with anything they can get away with, and until you put your foot down and pop them in the nose a good time, they're going to be jerks. Much like dealing with a bully. Um, People know I'm not pro anti-bullying rules because all they do is help the bully. They don't help the victims of the bullies. Whereas back in my day, if we had a bully, you put his head into the wall and give him a bloody nose, he stopped his crap. But that's just my 2 cents on that. But entities are really the same way. So when a person who's just an angry, awful, hateful person passes on and sticks around, there's still going to be an angry, awful, hateful person, only now there's really no consequences for their actions. Most people can't deal with it. On the upside, a quick banishing ritual of any kind will pretty much boot out almost any human spirit. So they're actually really easy to kick out. Again, the same bully instance. Bullies are not as big and bad as they like people to think because the first time you stand up to them, they cower. Human spirits are kind of the same thing, in all honesty. So no, Hollywood really does not do a good job with that at all. And that's the reason I kind of have a mixed feelings about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Because on one hand, Ed and Lorraine Warren were the pioneers of paranormal research. And they really opened that door for a lot of serious researchers. However, their religious bias also tainted the entire field of that research. And I have visited their museum. 90% of the items in that museum have no energy, nada. You'd see more energy in a stuffed animal at Toys R Us. Is Toys R Us even still a store? I just so old. I just mentioned a store that don't exist no more. Anyways, y'all know what I mean. And that's kind of sad. But at the same time, I am grateful for what they contributed to the study and the research. Even if they did come at that study and research with a heavy bias, we can't just toss out everything they did because they did actually open doors. And if you go back and look through some of their research notes, knowing there's a bias on it, you can actually find some useful information. And we jumped. Okay, we are definitely busy in here tonight. So if you have a very important question, do remember we have the super chats that'll flash it up on the screen. Or if you just want to donate a money to the cause and the channel to help keep the lights on and cameras going, which many of you have done in the past, and I appreciate it very much. We do have the super chats. That reminds me. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot. Tier 2 and Tier 3 members. Tier 2, you guys have been added into the members only live streams. So now Tier 2 and Tier 3 members will have access to the members only live streams when we do them. And I'll have to check the calendar, but I believe we have one coming up Monday. Those live streams allow me to talk about things that we can't talk about in the public live streams for sure. But now Tier 2 and Tier 3 will have access to that. Tier 3, since we gave Tier 2 access to the live streams, we are now also adding custom individual spell work to your all's tier. So not only do you get the general spell work that tier 2 subscribers have, you will get a custom spell working helping focus on a specific issue you're dealing with if you so choose to take advantage of that. I was supposed to mention that. I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. See what we get here. Jupiter, I don't really know what particular style of communication Joan of Arc used. Is that Edward? Welcome, first live stream, mate. Glad to see you. Oni-chan, I won't lie, I would love to have me some fireballs myself, but at the same time, part of me is like, it's probably a good thing I don't, because I'd have probably nuked half the grocery store the other day I was in there. Everybody's just being stupid. And I wouldn't be able to leave the house in the holidays. During the holidays, people get on my nerves I'm just an old Grinch. I'm not a holiday person. So, for as disciplined as people think I am, I do worry. There is a true worry about me that if you gave me that kind of power, if I'd abuse it. I have to admit that. And I know there's always those people, it's like the people who worry about the abuse of power are the people who should have it because they won't, because they worry about it. I understand that line of logic, but I really ain't so sure. I worry. I worry about me. I don't know if I'm that good of a person or not. Let's see what we got. Oh, we're jumping again. We are jumping all over the place. Let's see. Ali, so true. Angels and demons are both demons from the Greek. Both. Yep. Toys R Us is gone, and I missed that story. Oh, so it is a dead story. Okay, crap. Here I am showing my age up in here tonight, though. That's okay. I am proud to be who I'm proud to have survived. You know that? I am. It's amazing if you look at what I've done in my lifetime that I'm still alive. And I'm proud of it. That's why you see all this gray in my goatee. I've been told to dye this. I was like, no, I earned this. I earned it. I wear it proudly. And before I shaved my head, I had, the nice little gray streaks. I wouldn't dye those either. I loved them. I earned this. I'm keeping it. Although I will admit, my wife at one point had a real good use for my gray. Since she's military, she can't color her hair. And if she does anything for Halloween, it has to be able to wash out first try. So she don't have gray hair. But since mine's gray and anything sticks to gray like you can't believe, she would have me try the hair colors and then see if it washed out of my hair. And if, I don't know, my hair turned pink or some random color because it wouldn't fully wash out, she knew she couldn't use it. I actually have an ID where I had to go get a military picture taken. And they told me to take my hat off. I was like, can I not? And they're like, no, you have to. So I took my hat off and they laughed because this was right after I tried this really gorgeous red she wanted to try. My hair was pink. I mean, bright freaking neon pink. Or at least the gray was. The black part of my hair was still there, which only made the bright pink stand out that much worse. It was bad. Anyways, enough making fun of me. Let's see, is that Gergana? Gergana? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize. Your videos helped me in my journey. Just wanted to thank you. Oh, that's sweet of you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mugs up to you. See, Jupiter, what are you doing for Thanksgiving food-wise? Okay, many of you know I eat a carnivore diet. However, I have a rule, and my rule is holidays are holidays. So I am going to celebrate. Now, we are going to cook enough that what we have that day is pretty much going to be gone. I'm only eating Thanksgiving dinner. That's when I'm going to have the desserts and all that. That said, my daughter is going to be flying in unless something changes. So we're actually going to do an early Thanksgiving. And I believe she's going to attempt to be in one of the live streams with us the weekend she's here. So y'all might get to see her making fun of me. But the current plan is we're going to be doing a smoked turkey, pumpkin pie, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce. It'll be more of a traditional, I'd say, Americano Thanksgiving style thing there. None of us really like ham. My wife really doesn't. She's not a fan of ham at all. My daughter's not a big fan, so I'd be the only one eating the ham, so that's kind of pointless. But yeah, I think that might be all we're doing. I know I have to go this week and actually pick up the turkey, so otherwise we'd be doing a full spread, but it's going to be just the three of us. Luna, just think, eternal crispy bacon wherever you are, Drake. All the little oh dear God, bacon all the time. No, that right there is a spell, Luna. That really is. I would love that. Let's see, Birdie Buns. You mentioned working with more little dragons than just a guardian and a co in one video. Is there a reason to work with more? Direct reason, no. So a lot of the little hatchlings often get the guardians will do kind of babysitter duty for some of the really smaller hatchlings. So they tend to hang around guardians in general. They're not like assigned to you in any shape, form, or fashion. But occasionally those little ones will be flitting around the house, and I don't personally find them to be a problem. I actually find them to be quite entertaining, so they're welcome. Now, if you're talking about the little Mushu dragon that hangs around my house that I've talked about a time or two, he helps me with research, and he's a entity and a dragon that I met working with dragons, and he's really great with research and information. So that's just the reason he's here. But no, there's not a specific reason beyond that. That's the reason we don't really talk about it in the Dragon Magic 101. Yes, these little ones may show up. They may not. It's just kind of a random thing. In fact, I know a lot of magicians who the smaller dragons kind of annoy them. They'd rather them not show up. So it's, one of those little different strokes for different folks kinds of things for sure. See, Angela, this is the most chatty coffee hour I've seen yet. Yeah, we had a few slow ones. Coffee hour can get pretty chatty up in here. People definitely pop in here for a good time. Friday was slow. It was actually pretty slow. I think everybody was still recovering from Halloween, which respect on that. Jupiter, oh, do you mean Astral Realm? Okay, that's a huge question. That's a huge question. So let's see how I can explain this to sum it up. So what is known as the Astral Realm is a large realm or an in-between space that overlaps a lot of other realms. Not all, but a lot of other realms. And all the realms that overlaps are actually the realms that are closest to the physical realm. And of course, the physical realm is indeed one of the realms in which the astral realm overlaps. Now, the astral realm can best be described as a realm that is shapeless. It is all the shape, all the tangibility, all the details of the astral realms are actually thought invoked or reflection invoked of the realms it overlaps. If you actually take all the realms out of the astral realm, it would just set to zero. It would have no sustenance of its own. It is literally like a mirror of the realms that overlap it. Now, the realms that overlap it, they're countless. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people say it overlaps all the realms. Well, it doesn't, but at the same time, you almost get into a argument that becomes semi-pointless, because I'd say most of the realms that people want to work with, it does overlap. And depending on how far the magician or the practitioner chooses to dive into working with the realms, you may never have to go beyond those. However, if you do get into soul travel and stuff, and you start working more directly with the realms, which you would have to actually work directly with the realms, you can go beyond the realms that are that overlapped with just the astral realm. Astral travel can literally only allow you to work with the realms in which the astral realm overlaps. Now, that is the best way I can summarize that, Jupiter, because otherwise, to go beyond that, I literally have to start explaining each individual realm. And even if we had the lifespan of every one of us to start it, we'd never finish it. So I'm afraid can't do that. But I hope that little summary helps you a little. Leah, any advice on learning your dragon's name? Well, if you've already done the guardian and/or co-magician ritual, depending on which dragon you're talking about, then working with them, spending time with them to get to know them, and just asking them. Actually, generally speaking, if you've done those two rituals, your guardian or your co-magician should give you their name relatively quickly. If you're just spending a little time with them, most of the time they'll give you a name during the ritual itself. But the easiest way is just ask them, and make sure you have your arcane hearing trained up enough to hear it. That's usually the biggest barrier. See, Birdie, here's another question. I did a tarot reading to kind of see what to look for or what my might be like. Is that disrespectful? I was curious which might be my downfall. No, it's not disrespectful. However, I wouldn't trust it. And here's why. Dragons are very, very aware of our curiosity. They're curious. They don't begrudge us our curiosity. But they love to screw with us. They will literally alter divinations. Dragons do not like using divinations as a go-between. They want that direct connection. So when we use divinations, yeah, we can get a good, clear communication. But at the same time, they will feed us a load of bull, full-on April Fools the crap out of us. Just because they actually have really interesting sense of humor. Even some of the most prudish, just grumpy dragons I've ever met. You seriously, you wouldn't expect to see these dragons to smile, laugh, or anything. At random, they will tell a joke or pull a prank, and you will just see them liven up with this youthful joy of humor and sense of humor. It is amazing to watch. So no, it's not disrespectful. They won't even take exception to it. They'll enjoy it. You just really can't trust the info you got from it. So you did nothing wrong. In fact, when you do reach out to your co-magician, do feel free to compare the reading. But just be ready to see that I got you side of the thing pop up when you do. Okay. Do remember, these dragons, though wise and powerful, they have a good sense of humor. Jupiter, what's the difference between coffee hour and research and ramblings? Okay, coffee hour, was actually started with a co-host, and I'm keeping it going because so many viewers enjoy it. But originally, it was kind of a pop culture. She would hit me with pop culture questions. I try and answer, how they went back and forth with Magick, what they got right, what they got wrong, those kinds of concepts. However, without a co-host, you really can't do that. Not to mention, I don't watch a lot of TV. So now coffee hour is a bit more laid back. We goof off a little more. We talk about more random stuff. We don't necessarily stay on topic as much. We do get goofy in here. Occasionally, we've talked about D&D or other weird things. Occasionally, people recommend me to go watch certain movies. It's a bit more laid back. Where research and ramblings, we actually do put more focus on what research I'm actually doing at the time. And I talk about what I'm doing. I give examples to what I can as best I can. And the rambling comes into the fact that obviously when talking about my research, I do tend to ramble a bit, but I also try to take questions, and we try to keep that particular live stream very, very much on strict topic, or at least just, real magic occult topic. It's a bit more serious and focused. And as y'all have noticed, I tend to ramble on when questions asked as well. So the rambling part of the name is more making fun of me, but it does more focus on research, individual research, those kinds of things. Where coffee hour, we kick back, we end the weekend with some good humor and laughs, a bit of occult discussion. We do answer questions, but we try to have a bit more of a good time here and goof off on coffee hour. Hope that answers it a little. Occasionally, we've looked at possibly differentiating them more again in some way, but we've never found a way that long term really seems to work. And right now, that the more studious focused and laid back and fun focused tends to really be what the viewers look forward to. And I kind of got to agree. There's something great about being able to end my work week, to be able to share with you all what I've been doing that week. I really look forward to that. And then being able to end my weekend by coming on here, talking to you all, answering a few questions, getting ready, getting ramped up, get back in that mindset for the week, but also being able to have a lot of laughs and be able to share and joke around with y'all. I love it. I look forward to it. Edward asks, so are they spirit animals, elementals, or what? What are you asking? What are those? Spirit animals, elementals are different things. So I'm not sure what you're asking. What is what? If you're asking about dragons, are dragons spirit animals or elementals? They're neither. They actually do not qualify as elementals or spirit animals. Dragons are an entire category of entity in and of themselves. And they are very, very old and primal, and they do have connection to elements. But they also can easily be said they have a connection with any energy current out there, depending on what the dragon chooses to work with. And they are not bound to us in any shape, form, or fashion the way something like a spirit animal would be. In fact, trying to bind a dragon or claim ownership of a dragon, that's a great way to get yourself dead. Or worse. Let's see. Allie, have a great one. Have a great one. Blessed be to you too. It was good having you. Have a great week. How did you feel about the gods of Egypt? I do know that I saw it, A12. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I don't really watch a lot of TV or movies. Coffee hour, he rambles. Research and ramblings, he rambles about research. Luna. The worst part about that comment is that's a really good description. See, the new Marvel movie Eternals was a lot of fun, had a lot of mythology references. I definitely agree. If I get around to it, I got a list of recommended movies that we're supposed to chew through, and neither me nor my wife has actually had much of a chance. Let's see, is that Ninoa? Ninoa? If I'm saying that right, I like that name. That's pretty neat. Um, could you tell a story about your experience with Lucifer, my patron god? And I love to hear people's concrete experiences, like how he appears to them and what he says. Big fan of yours. Love your channel. Much love. Well, thank you very much. I am glad you enjoyed the channel. Yeah, I actually adore Lucifer. Lou, as I've been occasionally known to refer to him as, but on the channel I try to remain more proper. Um, it took me a long while to reach out to Lucifer. Many of y'all know I grew up in the church. I taught in the church. I went to seminary school. So when I broke away from the church, I had a lot of things like that and to work through and process. But my entire time in the church, one of the reasons I was so good at what I did in the church, I asked questions, I sought understanding. I've never been someone you can just tell them what it is and tell them to trust you. I want to see the facts. And that's the reason I know my Bible so well, is because I dove into it. I read, I asked questions. And I still love theology for those reasons. There's so much wisdom out there to learn across the board. Even though I'm not religious, there's a difference in seeking wisdom and religion. So that said, I actually did it. I didn't realize I was avoiding Lucifer, but the very moment I realized what was happening, I was determined to reach out, contact him, and get that one on one. Because I'm not someone who likes to take someone else's opinion of a person or an entity. I want to meet you face to face. I want to get to know you. I want to talk to you. I want you to color your own light and show me who you are. Um, and that's what I do with entities. I give them that chance, and I treat them with that respect. So I sat down with Lucifer the first time. The first time he appeared to me, he appeared in um, pretty much just a very simple suit. It was originally like a very light charcoal gray, blonde hair, blue eyes. And I remember making the comment to him that I'm surprised the suit wasn't white. And he said he honestly thought the white suit would be too cliche. So I kind of appreciated that. He approached me more on he kind of very simple manner. Um, some of the facts about Lucifer that I did find out is he's an amazing individual to talk to. He's really quick to point out areas where you can work on yourself. He is all about that self mastery. He is about the self empowerment. The number of times he said, I don't want to do things for you. I want to teach you to be able to do it for yourself. He's like, I want you to be my equal, not a worshiper. Um, and I respect that mentality so much. You see that a lot from the Norse entities as well. Um, they're not quite as blunt with this concept as Lucifer can be. But he was very, very respectful, very easygoing. Um, Now his appearance did shift over time. He would show up with dark hair. He would show me his darker side as well. He'd show me the lighter side. He is also explained to me he's neither light nor dark, though the light bringer. The light he brings is not light as in sun. The light he brings is the light of understanding and wisdom. And that made so much sense when I look back at all my theological studies and everything that he was that wisdom, that freedom, that independence. And I quickly learned that this was an entity that despised lies. Absolutely despised them. So I got to the point where most interpretations of Lucifer, I didn't like them. I really didn't. Because they did always try to paint him as the devil. Now, as we've already seen here, Oni-chan mentions Lucifer, the TV show. I actually sat down to watch that with a friend, and I expected to be drastically disappointed. I have to admit, that is one of the best representations that I have seen, because here you do have a Lucifer that is genuinely a good person. The job he has is a crappy job, even in the show, but he's a good person. He seeks to help people, but he also seeks to teach people what they're capable of their own. He doesn't like people who hurt other people, and he absolutely positively refuses to lie. I think they could have put more of the self-empowerment concepts into it, but then again, that really wouldn't work with the story they were telling, and I understand that. And for those who have seen the final season, the conclusion of it, I actually really do love how they wrapped it up, because it feels right for Lucifer as I know him. But yeah, I mean, he's been a magnificent friend and entity and ally to work with. For the people who do work with a specific entity as a god or a goddess and whatnot, I think he's a good choice. Many of you know I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual, I don't work with entities as a god. I approach them as an equal, I approach them with respect and as a friend, but I think he would be a good choice for most people, as long as they're willing to own that empowerment. I don't think he's a good person if all you want to do is bend the knee and worship and ask for free stuff. So if you kind of take like the Christian concept of religious worship, he's not so much a good one. But for most other people, I think he's a great guy, and he is a lot of fun. He is, and he's very caring, because I honestly remember I was having a really, really, really bad year. That's the best way to sum that up. I was having trouble meditating, and sure enough, just this peace, this calm just came over me. And at the same time, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I'm sad to say there's a lot of entities that cross my mind at this moment, but he was not one of them. But immediately when my senses turned to the entity that had just placed their hand on my shoulder, it was him. And he was there to speak with me, to talk with me, to help me through it. And he really did. The 2 or 3 hours we spent talking that day really changed the entire year for me. It just flipped my entire perspective on it and really helped me get through that. And I really thank him for it. So there's your story. Yeah, it's okay. You can definitely talk to an entity and just hope they hear you. If you're wanting to hear an entity, Jupiter, work on your arcane senses. So you can go to our video list, type in the word arcane senses. You'll find a video there. It'll detail the different arcane senses and some exercises you can work on. And if you go to workingdragonmystic.com, the website, we have courses. We have an online school. One of the classes there is Arcane Sight. The class focuses on Arcane Sight more than anything else, but all the exercises in the Arcane Sight class can be easily translated into Arcane Hearing, so you can hear an entity. And that class is absolutely free, because the arcane senses are so important to the study of magic. I refuse to charge for that class. So you can go there and sign up for that anytime you like. It is a work at your own pace class too. Ninoa, yes, he does have a lot of the old draconian symbolisms tied into him. And one of the things that I get as a dragon magic practitioner, people are trying to understand if draconian and dragons are the same. They're not. Draconian is based around mythology and symbolism, which a lot of that meaning, that symbolism of the draconian things, Lucifer embodies. And it makes sense that you would see him with that dragon's head because of that draconian symbolism and that wisdom and that understanding. And yeah, again, the scroll, because again, that knowledge and that wisdom. So that appearance absolutely makes sense there. Absolutely. And I can see I'm getting clocks thrown at me again. We all know who, dodging these clocks here. And now Oni Chan's throwing them at me. What the hell, people? Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, you're answering that question. Jay, Jupiter, there's plenty of videos. Yep, okay. Jupiter, hearts. Hey, thank you for the hearts. Jade throwing clocks at me. And do this in meditation correct. Yes, meditation is a great way to do it. Also, Jupiter, check out the video on arcane sanctums. We have a video here on the channel talking about arcane sanctums. Using meditation and trance to build an arcane sanctum is a great way to start working with entities and talking with them. It is hands down my favorite. And it is a technique and a teaching I give all my students straight out of the gate because it is a jump start to a practice that just can't be replaced. Starting to think you need to check the clock shirt. You know what? You might be right on Jade. We'll see about getting Jade to design some art for a check the clock shirt and coffee mug. So yeah, we'll look into that. Well, that was Luna who suggested that. Luna, okay, we'll get you to design it. Oh Lord, that might be a bad idea. Nope, no. Luna's art's good, even though she can be downright sassy. We love our meme queen. So, all right, everyone, I am going to hop off here. I got a meeting I got to get into. And then, of course, I got work to do and see if I can potentially, maybe get to bed tonight. We'll see. Probably won't happen, but that's okay. This was amazing. It was a lot of fun tonight, people. I'm so glad y'all joined me. If you haven't already, be sure you set your clocks correctly. I don't want anybody missing work or anything because of these freaking time changes. I wish I'd just get rid of them. But everyone have a great week. Keep up your research. Keep up your journals. Keep progressing. I know sometimes we hit those little lags and everything. It feels like we're getting nowhere. But believe me, when you're keeping that journal, you look back 2 weeks, you'll see progress. Until then, everyone, I will see you next week for the Research and Ramblings live stream. I will double check to see if we have the tier 2 and 3 member live stream this Monday. But if I do, I will post the link to it to you all in the community tab and on the Patreon site as well. Till then, everyone, you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Good night. Bye-bye.